So, My Chemical Romance, welcome back to Denmark and welcome to MTV Transistor.
Hi.
How is it to be back on the road with a brand new album that's not The Black Parade?
It's very good. You know, I guess there was points where maybe we felt like it wasn't going to ever happen again. So, you know, starting back up in November, I remember that was the feeling I had walking on stage was, oh, this is so awesome to be able to do this again.
And is it like a different vibe this time?
Yes, much different vibe.
And you guys, you've been together now for 10 years as a band.
10 years.
Did you, when you formed 10 years ago in New Jersey, did you ever think that it would go that far?
I mean, we believed in the band, but I guess we didn't have a concept of how far a band could go. Maybe that's more what it was. You know.
Yeah, it's beyond our wildest dreams.
And you can say that even though you've had like millions of records sold, you have sold out tours for like years in a row, you still managed to avoid all the pitfalls of fame and rock stardom. How do you guys do that? Because you just seem to be like a bunch of guys still just playing music.
Yeah,
That's it. You know, that's exactly the answer. That's what we got in it for. You know, like we formed a band because we love playing music. We don't care about all the other stuff. You know, so that keeps you grounded. And plus, we all have you know, great families, great people around us that are kind of the same vibe as us, and
like a support system.
Yeah,
it keeps you grounded.
Yeah, it's important. And when it all exploded like 3 or 4 years ago, you suddenly became like the voice of the new generation. Did you see that as a curse or bless?
Well, I never really thought of us as a voice of any kind of generation.
Of course you didn't, but like people
Yeah.
did.
Some
And they
people,
just
I
look
guess,
at you
yeah,
and
it's a weird
look
thing.
for an answer.
Yeah, that definitely looked to us for answers. I don't know that suits anybody well. I think we just. It's not that it was right time, right place. We just had something to say that happened to be what people were feeling, and you can't manufacture that. It just happens. So we just dealt with it. I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to deal with, being looked to for answers, but then eventually we kind of just shut up and kept playing. You know.
And if you look at the band and like your history, it seems like you're really good at reinventing yourself. This is My Chemical Romance version 4.0.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that a way of keeping it interesting for you guys to keep playing?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you grow and you change and you experience different things, and it affects, you know, the way you grow up together. We've all grown up in this band and changed together, you know. So we are who we are now, just 10 years later.
And when you listen to the first album, if you sat down today and listened to it from front to back,
right,
what would you think about that band? Because it's been a while, man.
The goddamn metronome.
Metronome.
I was actually. We were on a flight, I forget, just a couple days ago, and I was listening to some of those old songs. I was actually getting like really emotional, you know, because it really was reminding me of, you know, who we were back then when we were recording that. All these memories started flooding my head, and I definitely, I don't know, I love it. You know, that's the great thing about every record. Every record is like almost like a time capsule, a moment in time, and you know, especially for us, like, you know, for fans, like they listen to it and you hear people like, oh, I remember the first time I heard that song. It's like, wow, I remember the first time we wrote that song. So it's I love it. I love to listen to the old stuff.
Yeah, like at shows, you still have like the front row shouting, "Play Vampire!"
I know. No, it's really cool.
Well, now we are. So nowadays we do. So they're kind of psyched.
That's cool. Let's take a short break and watch a video that really defined you to the whole world. Let's talk a little bit about your third record, The Black Parade, because when that came out, it just exploded. How did that affect the band?
Well, it was interesting because I think the perception was that it exploded, but it
It's like a while.
It did.
Kind of gradually went up, and the whole
But
time.
like in Europe or in Denmark, it was like, whoa, I didn't know that band, and suddenly it was all over the place.
Some countries, I guess.
Yeah, but we were on tour the whole time, you know. I mean, so like we would get phone calls from our parents or whoever and be like, "Yeah, you're on TV a lot," or you know, I heard that on the radio like a bunch, and it was like, "Oh, really?" There's more kids at the shows. Yeah. Well, there's more kids at shows like singing along, so I guess, you know, people were starting to hear about it, and then it was just, you know, we kind of just kept our heads down and worked and just, you know, kept playing shows, and we're really excited.
Yeah, and if looking from the outside, it seemed that suddenly it became more than a band. It became like this thing. This
Yeah, it
movement.
became a thing. It became like a movement or a cultural thing, and that definitely did happen during Black Parade. And that, I think, was maybe the most difficult thing to deal with or come to grips with, because it's a loss of almost total control of something you all created together. You always lose control of your songs when you put those out into the world, but you know, to lose control of almost everything and have it be this cultural thing, that's kind of tough. So I think we spent, 4 years getting that control back. And
looking at the album before that, the Sweet Revenge, that was quite successful.
Yeah.
You had like 3 good singles, but on the Black Parade, it was just single after single. You ended up releasing 5
there
or
was
6
a lot
singles.
more, yeah. On Parade. It's interesting because I feel with Danger Day, there's going to be even more. There's just more opportunities for there's more of a variety, I think.
It's always awesome when you make something and people get it, like they got it. That's always really gratifying.
And it's also cool that with the new record and the Black Parade, you kind of grew out of the trend. You showed that we're not a part of that scene. We're a real band, and you're like the only one left standing.
I kind of always felt it was going to be that way, though, because we were never following a trend. We were just doing what felt right, and then you would see it get plugged into stuff, and then people copying it or whatever, and then you were like, well, that's not part of it. That's not a scene. What we created isn't a scene. It's just a thing, Yeah. And so I kind of felt like I was never worried about kind of being the last one standing.
And when the never-ending Black Parade tour ended, was it scary to be back in Jersey and be thinking, fuck, we're gonna make a new record?
Yeah, super scary. It definitely did. Like, at first it's weird. There was definitely a good amount of time where you were like happy to be home and resting, but then you start getting like the itch.
Yeah.
It's like, but also like there was just some stuff going on where like we're just
we
not
got
ready to write a
room.
record. Yeah, you don't know. Totally, you feel like almost like shell shocked in a bit. So.
But was it scary to start working on the new album then?
Yeah, that was pretty scary. Well, we also, I don't think we're ready. We just kind of needed to play together. I think that's all we really needed to do. Instead of start making albums, we should have just been playing a lot together and just hanging out and just doing that and get the engine going.
Let's talk a lot about the new album, but
Sure.
let's just watch the video to Na Na Na.